Right. Okay, so we're going to talk first about the types of data and software that are traditionally used to run a plant. First one is asset management tools. There's recommendations from the EPA and everyone to have asset management tools to essentially help you prolong the life of your equipment. Asset's just another fancy name for equipment, and essentially the idea is let's prolong, you pay a lot of money for this stuff, let's prolong the life of it as much as we can, replace it only when we need to, have stuff procured properly, and prolong the life. Next one is maintenance management. Have the ability to basically have maintenance schedules, assign work orders, have some organization on how things are maintained, so we're not just fixing things once they break. Finally, equipment documentation. So, by show of hands, how many of you have read your manual cover to cover? We got one or two. All right, we got some diehards. And this, you guys are the anomalies. You're the exception to the rule, unfortunately. But the reality is, I mean, when your washer dryer breaks down, you know, most of the time you're not going to open up that manual, right? So we're going to talk about each of these individually. But the next one is knowledge management. When we were going around doing a survey of a lot of plants, what are your pain points? What are the issues? This is actually a really big one. People leave, they have all the knowledge right inside their head, they're gone, and now we're stuck in a rut because we don't know what to do. Or you have such high turnover, you can't keep the employees, so it's hard to really kind of retrain everybody all the time. This was actually a really big one that people mentioned. Finally, the equipment data that's coming in, whether it's from the SCADA, your HMIs, your PLCs, all of this information is coming in, and there's you got to have something, you got to have a plan to deal with it. Finally, alert management and getting alerts on your phone or getting connected to the equipment when you're not there is another key piece of data for running your plant. So, first one is asset management. Now, the way to think of this is like a folder structure, right? At the top level of your plant, you have your main systems or zones. However you organize it, you have your top level assets or equipment. And then underneath each of those, you might have a motor or an MBR zone or different sections. MBR are membranes themselves. And this is really the skeleton of all of that data. So the way to think of this is like the roots that basically each of them have data connected to them. They'll all have their own kind of operation and maintenance documentation. They'll all have a specific useful life. They'll all have maintenance schedules and alerts connected to each of the assets or child assets, right? So just think of it like a folder structure. And that folder structure is the basis for all this data coming in. And this is how it's commonly kind of structured, is this hierarchical kind of skeleton view. So the next one is maintenance management. And ultimately, there's kind of an evolution to this. And you guys may be at different levels or stages, but what we found is that the majority of plants are in this kind of reactive mode, right? Where basically it's connected to my useful life, meaning it broke, right? It's no longer working, my motor broke, and so now I need to go maintain it, right? So this is what they call reactive maintenance. And this is harmful in a couple ways because if you haven't procured that particular critical component, now you have to pay a fortune to get it here, overnight it, whatever it is, right? And so this ends up costing a lot more than doing more of a different approach. So the next stage of evolution would be you're doing preventative maintenance, right? So this means you've read that manual cover to cover and you've extracted all of these maintenance schedules and this information so you can come in and actually schedule stuff before it breaks, right? So it tells me every 500 hours or every 6 months I'm supposed to do X, Y, Z. So I come in and I try and prevent things from happening. This is, the timing belt on your car type of situation. Next one is predictive. So it's one thing to say 500 hours in our manual that we give you, right? We all know that your plan's different from your plan's different from your plan, right? So that 500 hours may or may not be the right number of hours. But if your maintenance is hooked up to your equipment, and these two are talking to each other, you can say, if my motor ramps up too hot, or my level gets too high, I need to go maintain, right? So now you're starting to predict, and over time you can start to find patterns and actually start to predict behavior of your equipment. And finally, the last one is prescriptive, and this is what's really exciting about all of this data coming in, right? Because we don't have to just look at this asset and try and make sense of it. We can look at all of these assets from all over and start to make sense of it. And eventually, when you get a maintenance thing, it says, here's your maintenance thing, and here's what we think you should do, right? And this is going to make your lives easier. It's going to make your user experience better with our equipment, and ultimately all of your equipment to be able to come in and say, I can now prescribe more or less what you should do in this particular situation. So this is the evolution of maintenance. Obviously, we're all kind of working towards that final goal. So the next one is our asset documentation. When you need to fix your washer dryer, where do you guys go right now? Do you go log into Google and type in manual for Whirlpool machine? Where do you go? Anybody? Huh?
I just Googled serial number.
Okay.
For forms, common problems, and then eBay the part, and then replace it.
Okay.
And then buy a new one.
Right? Anybody else?
Just like you say.
What's that?
Go into Google and
Yep.
look it up.
I mean, most of the time I'm on YouTube, right? If I have a problem with my washer dryer, I go on and I can just watch a guy torquing a wrench and I find more or less what I need to do. It's easy, it's concise, it's interactive, right? Now, if I need a specific part, I'll have to get a specific part number, right? But just for maintaining something, finding out what's wrong, fixing something, YouTube has become like a mecca for that, right? And there's a reason, because it's easy to digest, it's good, concise information, even though it's not professionally produced most of the time, right? So the next one is that it needs to be timely. So even if we delivered to the customers this big repository or library of interactive videos on what to do, you need to have that video when you need it, and you don't want to have to find it and go search for it. So what we've done is we want to link our operation and maintenance media to your maintenance schedule. So when you get a maintenance alert, there's a video of exactly what to do in that specific situation. Or if you get an alert on your phone, a text message that says, this alarm's going off, okay, great, but now what do I do, right? So if I have a video there to tell me how to do that, then I'm in a much better position. It's more timely. And the last one is that it's relevant. Our plants change all the time. We're constantly changing out components or different pieces of equipment, and keeping this stuff up to date is hard, it's challenging, right? But if we simplify this so it's easy for you guys to just keep stuff up to date as you go, then this doesn't become as big of a deal. So last, we have our, next one, our alert management. Someone want to guess the average time an American spends away from their phone, their mobile phone, according to Forbes? 6 minutes, right? This is the average.
Jamie's case is only.
Yeah, no, it's there. I had some people like 10 seconds. You have that phantom vibrate where you think your phone's there, but it's not. This is it's a different discussion, but this is the best tool, right? Because if I'm out on a piece of equipment away from the computer, I don't have my tablet on me, my phone is on me all the time, and this is our best kind of delivery device to get this information in. And finally, our equipment isn't yet equipped with Amazon Alexa, right? So it can't speak to us, tell us what's going on. But the alerts, the sensors, the information is a communication device, right? So we need a translator, and being hooked up to the equipment is a real tool for us to utilize. And it's more than just alerts, it's getting the information of what to do, how to do it, and who's supposed to do it, right? So next, this is the infrastructure that makes up the IoT or Internet of Things world today. First you have sensors, and the more sensors you have, the more language capabilities your equipment has. And this gets delivered to a gateway device, which is just like a fancy router. It's pushing read-only information, so it's not controlling your plant. It's just reading, sending it to the cloud. Sometimes we can help make sense of it, and then we'll deliver it in a nice, pretty package for you guys to get access to. And so Julian's going to talk a little bit about what we're specifically doing with the membranes that we're excited about, and then we'll go from there.
Yes, thank you. So our parent company, this is Mann & Hummel.
There you go.
Okay. So I will just continue. Our parent company, this is Mann & Hummel, and they are one of the key leaders in this in leadership infiltration is what they are calling. themselves. And you probably don't know Mann & Hummel, but you probably know Vicks and Purolator as brand names. Yeah, everyone knows it. It's in the car. And Mann & Hummel, they introduced 10 people, and they are really working 100% of their time only about topics David just mentioned. And they brought up a sensor for the harvester for the driver cabin, so that they put in the sensor on the filter, and the filter have sends out signals if it's of the loading stages, so that the farmer can decide either he wants to go to the field again or he needs to change the filter on beforehand. And this is a huge improvement from the past. And these guys, they also want to help us in order to get this OV or biocell module smart in the future. Yeah, so I mean, in these cars, there are already filters you know, maybe also some filters you don't know. In Germany, there's at the moment a discussion ongoing that they are developing brake filters in order to separate the fine dust from the brake process, and this is not going in the air. So this is also something they are developing at the moment. And I like the comparison between the MBR system, the plant, and also a car. So maybe if the membranes or the filters, they are essential, maybe the most critical part, but it's only one component of many. But in the end, the components, they need to stick together in order to let the car run from A to B, or to let the MBR system work in order to filtrate the wastewater and have a good effluent quality in the end. So what are the goals with our module to make it smart? It's we can have real-time condition on the status of the performance. We have the possibility also that the things that they are communicating directly with each other. In this survey Ovivo did, they also found out that the municipalities, that they are also starting to demand IoT, so that they can monitor their systems. And this data, the collection, this will help us to get an extension of know-how, to optimize product utilization in the field, so to reduce OPEX for you guys, but also to help us to improve the products, that we can serve a better product in the future. So at the moment, if you're looking at the plant, these are all individual membrane modules. You only have the possibility to have a macro level control. So that means you can track your water flux at this point normally. You cannot track it per each module. The future will look like that you can have that you can track each and every module, and what's the benefit out of it? You can, with predictive or even prescriptive maintenance, you can go and see what your performance of your modules are and replace only single modules. So that means your maintenance effort, this will significantly decrease. What we are doing today already, so this is a module in Wiesbaden at the pilot plant. We already equipped it with sensors. This is the airflow sensor, and this is the permeate flow sensor. The sensors, they are connected to the gateway, which is sending or transmitting the data in the internet. And under the website of Mann & Hummel, there are this is now the air and the TMP, for example. This is visualized, and we can have access to the data. And in the future, this should be the focus should be that we improve the value to the customer, and that we have a good running MBR plant in the end.
So you have individual TMP for each filter?
Yes, so it would be this size, so over 5,000 square feet. This will be then can be tracked on each of these modules. So this is what we are testing already over here.
So, as Julian mentioned, we're working together, and one of the things that's coming about, you'll start to see this, all the manufacturers, whether it's a pump manufacturer or a weir manufacturer or someone like Ovivo, everyone's getting into the digital, right? This is going to start coming to you, right? The last thing you want as a customer is 30 apps on your phone or an iPad, and you're like, oh, what's my login for this and that? So we decided to take a different approach, right, and focus it on the customer's perspective, and develop, instead of a single app, develop a platform that not only you could put our stuff on, but you can put all of your plant equipment on there, right? And working with our partner manufacturers and other manufacturers, they can also deliver all that same type of data into the platform, right? So this was our approach because we wanted to make the experience better for Ovivo, or for the customer. And so what I'm going to do is just do a quick 2-minute demo of the Water Expert platform you've been hearing about, and go through quickly a couple of the components. Okay. Everyone saw my password. It's a demo phone. It's a demo phone. All right. So if you have access to multiple plants, you could have a list of all of your plants in this view, or you could go into a map view and go to the specific plant from the map view. So if I go into this MBR demo account here, the first thing I come to is my list of assets at my plant. This is my top level stuff, right? And what we want to do within Ovivo is we want to deliver to you, when you get our systems, it comes preloaded with all of the component and sub-asset information. And then at each level of whatever asset level you're at, you have specific alerts to that. You have a library of information. You have data monitoring and maintenance schedules all tied to that specific asset level. If I go back up and come into the microblock system here and go to the library here, you can see I have my TSS testing procedure. I can have my clean in place video, all accessible right from the palm of my hand, right? And I can set my video down, torque my wrench right next to it while I'm out by the equipment, right? So give it a quick, internet's probably lagging a bit with everyone logged in. There we go.
Permeability.
So these videos are going to be professionally produced, big, and accessible to all of you as Ovivo customers. But the key thing is that this isn't going to be plant specific, right? So what we've made is you have the ability to come in here and say, I'm going to actually record a video of someone doing a specific procedure at my plant, and record that person, say Martin doing the procedure of taking off his name tag. First, grab both hands on the strap, remove, set on desk, unclip, perfect, remove, and then use that video and give it a title, a category. I can say this is an operations video or it's a troubleshooting video. Whoops. Technical difficulties. But then that video becomes instantly available for everyone else at the plant, and it becomes a repository of knowledge for our entire plant. Now, making the connections between all this data, if I am hooked up to the equipment like we are, this specific demo plant is hooked up to this equipment right here. If I have a trigger for permeability to greater than 0, that should trigger right away. So I'm going to go ahead and reset this specific alarm and say, okay, it's all good now. I've dismissed it, and I'm going to reset this alarm. And then on my mobile phone, which is here, I got an alert, text message alert, and on that alert, I can click on the video of exactly what to do in that situation. Oh, geez, sorry, got to log in again. Timed out on me.
You need the password.
Right. Okay, so if I click on that alert again, sorry. Okay, so I get my text message alert, and I click on the video. Then when I get an alert, it's one thing to get an alert, but it's another thing to be able to come in and have a video of exactly what to do when that alert goes off, right? So you can start to see the power of building these connections between all these different pieces of software that are traditionally siloed at your plant. your SCADA information, your maintenance management tools, your knowledge information, and bringing them all together into a single platform. So that's what we're doing with Water Expert, and we'd like to open it up for questions. Yeah.
So do
Yes.
you guys come in and set it all up? What if there's other equipment that Ovivo hasn't sold or issued?
Right, yeah, so obviously we can't like go and scan everyone else's drawings and manuals and everything, right? So what we do is we partnered with a third-party programming company to host that data that is confidential to you and your other manufacturers. But we have also engineering firms that we've certified that can come on site and do your whole plant if you guys don't want to do it yourselves. We wanted to make it easy, right, and not expensive, right? You don't need someone to come in and do a Hollywood production for this, right? It's you're changing oil, right? So come in, you can do it yourself, or if you want to just get it done, you know, which a lot of plants do, they want to just start with a big, good base. Then we have partners, or you can have an intern come in for the summer and get all your manuals digitized, your alerts and your maintenance schedules all in this into this platform with all of your assets. Good question. Yep.
I'm interested in the data functions.
Yeah.
How customizable is that?
Yeah, so
what
we-
can I produce from there?
Yeah, so we have the alerts, right? But then the data piece, we have trend charts, and we have, let's see, let me go back to the other demo. Is it in this one? Sorry. On the data piece, we have trending capabilities, so you can, I've had more technical difficulties on this session than any other one. Basically, you can build all your trend charts, and you can do HMI widgets, web HMI widgets. So you're not looking into your SCADA device here. Oh, I think our system must be offline. But you can actually drag and drop and do visualizations. We actually have some of this equipment, and build your trend line. So it can more or less replace a data historian and remote logging, because you can just build your widgets and charts yourselves without any programming experience.
Okay, so for instance, I could like produce a year-long trend on turbidity potentially, or
Yeah, exactly, or even longer, right?
okay,
Yeah.
great.
So I don't know why that's not showing up. Any other questions while I'm trying to get that going? Let me see if logging in again will solve it. The maintenance schedule. Okay. Or the service logs. And then I didn't show you guys the maintenance schedule or the service logs. You can come in here and add a service log. We also built in, we wanted, for each piece of equipment, Ovivo equipment, we wanted to have it easy for you guys to just get access to the right people. You're on your phone, you have a phone number here for Eddie, you can send him a detailed support request, take a video, say, hey, what's going on here? And actually send him a video. We should be using these communication tools to make it easy for us to help support you. And let's see, if this doesn't work this time, then we're down out there. See why the E1's down out there? Ashwini, do you mind checking with Nick, seeing why the E1's down out there? Okay, thanks. Okay, so good question. We're not writing commands. Okay, so good question. We're not writing commands through the application. It's a read-only feed. Right? If you want to remote into your application, you can remote in through that gateway device, but it's kind of like a traditional log me in or team viewer type of setup. So from the app's perspective, we're not controlling. The last thing you want is your iPad sitting on the floor and your kid coming over. Woo, it's green buttons, Oh yeah. It's pinch zoom. I apologize. It's not the showing here. Oh yeah. It's pinch zoom. I apologize. It's not the showing here. But actually, I can see if I can access it over here. But I don't have all my charts and widgets are not. I don't have all my charts and widgets are not loading. Sorry, what's up?
Does it print out? Does it?
Anyway, same thing on the phone.
Piece of equipment?
Sorry, what's up?
Print out, does it 5,000 hours? So it'll send you a text message saying you need to change the oil on the piece of 5,000 hours.
Right, yeah, so you have alerts that can send you the text messages and then maintenance reminders that will give you a
Right,
push
yeah, so you have alerts that can send you the text messages and then maintenance reminders that will give you a push notification, right, and say time to do your maintenance. And we're working, constantly working, and we're finding all these connections between these different pieces of software. Where it's like, oh, alert automatically creates work order, or all these types of connections we're building right now. So it's pretty exciting.
Off the PLC.
Off the PLC directly.
Yeah, so this gateway device is an industrial grade gateway device. We can even separate
Yeah, so this gateway device is an industrial grade gateway device. We can even separate it from your network
security standpoint. That's
through an additional kind of IP separation. So it's from a security standpoint, that's as secure as you can possibly get. We're pushing read-only values on a network separate from your SCADA even, right? And then that gets pushed to a cloud. We can help make sense of it in some cases, or just display it to you in other cases. And there are lots of new exciting ways for us to form new relationships or new support tools, right? Or service contracts.